Hello, I'm your host Karen Wilson, and welcome to Table Talk. We have a very informative show for you today as we are joined by Fran Gray from Alzheimer's Tennessee to discuss Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Welcome back to the show, Fran.
Oh, thank you, Karen. It's really good to be here
you were
again.
Here for a very different subject last time, but this is
Yes.
your day job, as we say.
That's right.
Working with Alzheimer's Tennessee. So we'll just jump right into the mission of Alzheimer's Tennessee, and also tell us about what support your organization provides.
Oh, I'd love to tell you about it. Thank you, Karen. Alzheimer's Tennessee came into being about 35 years ago when families and physicians saw the need for support of families who were affected by dementia, all the dementias, with Alzheimer's still being the lead then and now. And they formed support and worked very tirelessly to help educate and support families going through this challenge. And about 7 years ago, that group broke apart from the Alzheimer's Association and formed Alzheimer's Tennessee. The association continues to work and work well, but the Alzheimer's Tennessee wanted to be able to provide local services and determine, and they felt they could better determine what was needed because they were local. And so the group disaffiliated, as did many groups across the country, and formed Alzheimer's Tennessee. We have our headquarters in Knoxville. We have an office in Cookeville, one in Johnson City, Nashville, and now Tullahoma, where I serve as a South Central coordinator. And what our mission is to help support families, again, with dementia and with advocacy, research, and just more information as we go along. Unfortunately, someone in Tennessee is being diagnosed every 2 minutes. So we have an epidemic of persons suffering with dementia, and as we age, we're going to see those numbers increase. So we are working tirelessly to try to find a prevention and to help alleviate the suffering and frustration with families who are in the throes of it right now. And it is not an easy thing, and we are all affected by it, not just a family with dementia present, but all of us, because it is so widespread. So our families, our churches, our communities, our health system, everything is touched significantly by Alzheimer's and the other dementias.
So in the form of support, I guess you can provide education for those that are experiencing new diagnosis. What other forms of support? Are there groups that they can attend to talk about this?
Yes. We do have a group in Tullahoma now, and our goal is to have it in all the South Central counties. We meet the third Monday of every month in our office in Tullahoma at 207 North Jackson. Our group is called Food for Thought, and we ask people if they want to bring a sack lunch, and we provide a beverage and a piece of fruit, and we also provide the education piece. This month, we're going to be focusing on holidays and how we deal and perhaps change some of our traditions to accommodate and make more comfortable our loved ones who may be suffering with dementia. And most caregivers are pretty tired, especially if their loved one is in more advanced stages, and so we are suggesting things they can do to take better care of themselves. Also, we have a new piece we're adding called yoga. We have a volunteer who is a yoga instructor, and she's going to come and do some chair exercises. So they the participants can, if they choose to, can just sit and do some deep breathing and stretches. And I think it will be a really good, refreshing time and a restorative time. So we're hoping that people will come out, and again, that's at noon the week of Thanksgiving. I believe that's the 19th in our office. And while a care partner is in our group, Morning Point is offering hospitality. So they can take their loved one to Morning Point for free for care and lunch while the care partners are having a time away and hopefully getting some helpful information.
Good. That is a great resource for, I'd say, Warren Coffee and Grundy counties. And then for those in the other parts, Sparta, Van Buren, did you say there was an office in Knoxville?
There is, and there's one in Cookeville.
In Cookeville. That would be the close one for them,
That's
I
right.
would say.
Yes.
Okay, and they have probably all different kinds of similar activities
That's
going
right.
on at their locations as well.
Right. We all have the same goal of alleviating as much suffering as possible, providing education. A lot of times when we have an idea of what's going on, it makes it a little easier to deal with the situation. So we, in fact, just this week had a caregiver conference. We called it Alzheimer's 101, and we did a broad sweep of information from the medical to the legals to actual life experience to a social worker coming and talking about communicating, and finally research. So we are trying to reach out and give people as many opportunities as possible to learn what they can and put some new tools in their toolbox so they can, while we cannot fix the problem, we can deal with it and make adjustments as we go along.
Right. Never thought about how many different branches, I guess, there are of one's life to think about that you have to prepare for, like you said, from the financial to the emotional, and lots of things to plan for. Well, as we said, this is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Tell us about the history of the Ronald Reagan Proclamation. There's an excellent picture on your website of him signing that, and, and why that's so important.
Well, you know, I can remember when he was being interviewed, or he would be making press conferences and remarks, and he would say, "I don't remember." Can you remember? Do you remember that yourself?
Not that specifically, but...
And I thought, how is it that the president of our country cannot remember such important things? But truly, he was in early stages of dementia and memory loss. And now I look back and think, golly, bless his heart, he was struggling, but he was open about it. And so he did make the proclamation, and that was 35 years ago, that from henceforth, every November, we would be recognizing it as Alzheimer's Awareness Month. And I thought that was a very brave thing of him to do, to say, this is what's happening in my life, and I want people to be aware of it. And that's really key, I think, to how we deal with it. A lot of times people are very, very hesitant to say, I have dementia, or my husband or my parent or even my child has brain issues, memory issues. And we're trying to help dispel the stigma around that, because if people are not open and candid about it appropriately, then they can't receive the help. And a lot of times people want to help, but they don't know how to, or they don't know what's going on. So part of our work is to help dispel the myths and stigmas about it, and to help folks become more accepting of their situation, and then to be able to reach out for help.
I guess we all have to realize there is a good quality of life that can be had even after a diagnosis is made.
That's right. There certainly can be. And unfortunately, we're seeing younger and younger adults being diagnosed. There are people in their 30s and younger with early diagnosis. So if we can determine what's going on, if we see a significant change in ourselves or a loved one, we need to get some medical attention right away. Sometimes there are certain conditions such as blood pressure issues or thyroid issues or diabetes or even infections in the body that can mask themselves as dementia, or they'll bring on dementia type symptoms when in fact there's something that can be cured or handled and resolved. Dementia does not have a cure yet, but some of these other symptoms do. For instance, someone might have a sudden hearing loss. Well, maybe their ears are impacted. Maybe they just need to be cleaned out and then hearing is restored. And you know, if we lose any of our senses, it throws us. I say I can't hear or see without my glasses. So imagine if you can't see, if you can't hear, and then your brain starts to get a little fuzzy. It's a very scary, scary thing.
Right, because if you're not recognizing that for what it is, you almost, I guess, take on Alzheimer's symptoms because you can't see, you can't hear well, which causes confusion.
Yes.
And therefore it kind of becomes very Alzheimer-like.
Yes, that's right. And so as soon as we see changes, you know, the thing is, dementia starts and begins developing in the brain long before the symptoms present themselves. And sometimes in life, if we have a traumatic change, if we lose a life partner, if we have to move, if we do have, say, a broken hip or something major like that, all of a sudden it seems like, oh, they have Alzheimer's. And those symptoms may just be presenting themselves because of the trauma, the big changes in life. So they've been there, and they have just developed, and now with this change, it may become much more apparent that there are some mental changes.
So I noticed, you know, when we're talking, we're referring to Alzheimer's and dementia. Are they the same, or are there differences between the two?
Well, Alzheimer's is a dementia. It is one of several, and it is the one we're finding happening most of the time. There's Lewy body dementia, there's vascular dementia. I remember as a child hearing about a great-grandmother having hardening of the arteries, and I'm satisfied she had vascular dementia. We hear of alcohol-induced dementia. We hear of frontotemporal dementia. So there are several different kinds under that one umbrella, and sometimes it's hard to tell which is which because they do have similar symptoms, but they do different ones will change the brain in different places at different rates and so forth. So again, if you can find out right away what's going on, or at least have an awareness, and then have regular checkups to watch the changes, then I think that can help. Unfortunately, we have not had a breakthrough medication in over 13 years. And one of the things Alzheimer's Tennessee is doing is advocating for more research dollars. Every year we have a large group of individuals who will go to Nashville for Legislative Day on the Hill, and we meet with our elected officials, we meet with our governor, and we say, please, please be aware. And if there's particular legislation going before them, we try to ask them, please support this legislation so we can go about this work of finding a prevention and hopefully one day a cure. We also advocate in Washington, and we're very happy to say that recently there was a breakthrough there, and we have an increase in research money going to the National Institutes of Health. There are so many diseases needing research, and we feel that Alzheimer's is way behind heart, cancer, HIV, AIDS, and so we really need those dollars so we can try to address these things. It takes lots of money and a lot of people to research and go through clinical trials to find a cure or prevention.
It seems like the money kind of is tied to support. The more vocal people are in pushing for those dollars to be spent towards dementia research. That kind of goes hand in hand, I think.
That's right.
So, like you said, advocacy, letting our legislators know that this is important to us, can equal dollars going into the research of it, I'm sure.
That's right. And when you look at what's being spent in healthcare, just physicians' visits, hospital visits, long-term care, is staggering. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I'm of course concerned about our future and then our children's, the generations behind us, and what they're going to be facing, because there'll be so many of us, millions of people, dealing with dementia.
Mm-hmm. Is this, we're talking about it more, we're hearing about it more. Is it truly a case where there are more people with it now, or is it just that we did not recognize this years ago for what it was?
Well, I think sometimes we did not recognize it. I think we, in our culture, deny a lot of things, especially when it involves mental issues. I do think that we have advanced quite a bit. I know that we have, and there are ways now we can determine what's happening. And it's good to know that a lot of times now, through the advances in technology, we can see what's happening in the brain before autopsy. For the longest, the only final determining factor would be, autopsy after death, when people would study the brain tissues. And now, with the progress of PT scans and technology, we can identify the deterioration in the brain, the changes. We can look at amyloid, the proteins, the tangles, and so forth, and see the changes a lot better than we could years ago. So again, with looking into that, we can determine what kind of treatment is needed, or how the disease is progressing.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about, it is a brain disease. Is there preventative measures that we can take to take care of our brain? Is that possible?
Well, we believe that, yes, there are some things we can do that can make our overall health better. And we are going to be pushing out brain health later, but in the meantime, we're going to be emphasizing to all people that we need to be drinking water. We all need half of our body weight in water every day. It's hard to imagine. Mm-hmm. I weigh too much, and I need to be drinking well over 100 ounces of water every single day. Too many times our brains get dehydrated, our bodies get dehydrated, so the brain suffers a lot. Mm-hmm. We have to have the oxygen that's carried in water to keep our brains healthy. So that is one of our big determinants right there, having plenty of water getting to the brain. Also, we are finding where there are cultures eating more healthy diets, that we're not seeing as many instances of brain dementia. Mm-hmm. So if people can eat healthy, eat whole foods that are not processed, and right here we're in a wonderful agrarian setting here in Middle Tennessee, and if we could eat our locally grown foods more often, that's healthier for us. Those that are free of pesticides and other toxins.
Right. And this time of year, of course, we can turn to the frozen food section. That's
right.
That's not as good as fresh picked, but it's the second best.
That's right. That's right. And so when you're shopping, if you think about going around the perimeter, most stores are going to have the produce and the freezers on the perimeter. And if you shop on the outside, you're going to steer away from all those things we tend to enjoy, the things that don't have nutritional value. So if we eat healthy and feed these bodies healthy foods, we're going to be, of course, helping our brains. A brain, heart, it's all connected. And in the same vein, we need to rest our bodies more. Our country is terribly sleep deprived, and we need good restorative rest. So that is something we really need to focus on, rest, and then exercise. I'll just take myself again as an example. I have a very sedentary life. I sit at a desk, I sit talking on the cell phone, I'm in the car traveling, and those are all good and necessary, but I need to balance that with exercise every day. I need to take time to be quiet and go inside and restore my soul, my spirit. So again, we're holistic beings, and if we can take time to rest ourselves, rest our bodies, feed us well, drink well, then we are going to have a better chance of pushing back disease of all kinds, or being healthier to fight off things when they do come.
I would think too, keeping your mind, along with the rest, the flip side would be keeping your mind active, reading,
Yes.
Having social engagement with other
Very
people
much.
you can talk with.
And you know, that's an issue when people are not well for whatever reason, physically or mentally, there's often isolation. Again, they may become more withdrawn, and then their care partners, their families, or whomever is providing care for them, may live a more isolated life because they're so focused on that person. And it's equally important for the person affected by disease and their care partner to stay healthy. Sadly, a lot of care partners may become ill or even die before the person affected with dementia or other chronic disease, because they haven't taken care of themselves. So when we're talking about feeding ourselves, drinking water, restoring our brains with information, that goes for all of us, the care partner as well as the person.
Right. Seems like they need it just
Oh,
as much as the patient.
Very, very much, very much. And you're right. We need to read. Anything that we're doing to stimulate our brains is so good, whether it's reading, doing puzzles,
Probably
thinking.
knitting or any
Yes,
type
anything.
of work.
And in addition to those things, it's good to take up something new. So if people would finally work on their bucket list, for instance, I love language. I love to speak and learn different languages. And so if I would really stay focused on learning a language and practicing it, that would help create new pathways in my brain. And
That's interesting
I
to
need
think
it.
about,
Yeah.
because there's things that we've done for years that almost we can do without even, it's second nature to us.
Right.
But to open up new pathways by learning new things.
That's right. You know,
Very
if you always wanted to play a guitar, well, you could pick one up.
And we're never too old, are we? We
No.
can do things like that at
No,
any time.
it may, as we get older, sometimes it takes us a little longer to learn things, or it does me, but it's enjoyable, and again, it's we are stimulating and creating these new pathways. One thing I have found myself doing, I'm left-handed for many things and right-handed, and so I'm finding myself, if I'm, say, holding the phone with my left hand, I may be writing with my right hand. And again, that takes a different brain work to do that. So if we can do things to grow and keep our brains healthy and stimulated and interested, that's just really important.
Okay, well, I know you said that we were going to possibly talk about that again in February.
We
You're gonna
are.
have a lot of concentration on brain health, so
That's
we're going
right.
to definitely plan on having you back, Fran, and
thank
talk
you.
about that.
Yes.
So we'll just remind our audience, Alzheimer's Tennessee gives all kinds of resources for the patients and the caregivers.
Yes.
They can find a ton of information on the Alzheimer's Tennessee website.
Yes. May I mention quickly that on our website there's something called Caregiver Academy. And for those individuals who have a question and they feel like they cannot necessarily get out to a meeting or find the time to talk with a physician, they might be able to get an answer on one of our educational videos on Caregiver Academy. You can click onto that and in 3 to 5 minutes get some really good safety tips, maybe answers to how to communicate, look at some legal issues. There's just a really good variety of information there on our website. And also we have a phone line that's answered 24/7, and I'm happy to make calls. I do try to visit in people's homes if needed, and or give them information for resources. So I would welcome anyone to call us at 931-434-2348.
Okay.
I have something for you. I
Okay.
brought,
Well,
yes, if I
great.
may. One of our goals is to make Alzheimer's a memory and to, we say, sock it out. So let me give you
Oh,
a pair of your
wow.
own Alzheimer's Tennessee socks to help us sock
How
out
special.
Alzheimer's.
Wow, I love it. And you know, you can never have too many socks.
That's
But
right.
these are so fun. These are
Yeah.
fun. And the state is on there and
Yes,
everything.
we want people to volunteer to help sock it out.
All right. Well, Fran, thank you so much. Such an interesting subject matter, and as we age ourselves, and then we have aging parents, lots of things to look, and be aware of and think about. And you guys at Alzheimer's Tennessee are an awesome resource for that. So thank you for coming again, and thank you for coming to the table today to learn more about this important subject. We invite you to come back again next week for more Table Talk.